So welcome to video number 3 of module 2 of the subject supply chain management and introduction to SAP. So the last class we discussed about the stock verification, how stock verification must be done, and how unwanted materials has to be taken care when we go with the next planning. So further we'll be discussing about once verification has been done, how to take care of the waste which has happened in the stores, how to dispose the surplus, obsolete and the scrap. So here once the products have been finalized, how to dispose those products. So here surplus, obsolete and scrap products, how to take care. So here surplus means you might have accumulated more material or products due to faulty planning, forecasting and purchase. So when surplus is there, when we plan next time, we have to reduce the surplus stocks inside the organization which are excess of their requirement. Obsolete stocks, they are those items which are not damaged but have economic worth but are not suitable for company's specific operation. For example, the spare parts of machine which have been phased out, changes in product design, technological advancement, rationalization, food and drugs whose effectiveness has lapsed over time, wrong codification, some of the reasons why obsolescence occurred. So here this also has to be taken. Obsolete and surplus lies in the potential for use, but the scrap or the salvable items which it cannot be reused. So salvage items are those which cannot be used for the original purpose, but out of which certain parts may be removed, used either with or without rework. So this scrap item you might have planned early in the design, but while going with the actual design, these parts may not be used. In future also they may not be used because of the batch production. So like this, surplus, obsolete and scrap are the waste management which are supposed to take care. So what are the reclaimable items? Reclaimable items are those which are worn out tiles which cannot be reiterated. Before reclaiming the items, their external life should be properly determined, as sometimes reclaiming is expensive. External life is not commensurate to the cost incurred. This is another term which is used to describe material not useful to the organization. Scrap can be defined as the residue from a construction or manufacturing process which cannot be used economically within the organization. Typical scrap material in the construction industries are empty tins, drums, packing materials. What are the reasons for obsolescence? So here, development of better and more efficient or cost economic technology, advent of new automation technologies and design changes, standardization of item within the organization, cannibalization of the equipment to obtain spares for the other, incorrect purchase practice like buying in bulk, false storekeeping or inefficient material handling. So obsolescence happens for this is the reason. So these reasons must be kept in mind when we plan for the next phase of production. So how to control obsolescence? So XYZ analysis can be done to identify obsolete items. X item accounts for 70% of the value, but about 10% are stock items. Y option tells that Y items account for 20% of value, but only 20% of stock items. Z items accounts for 10% of the value, but about 70% of the stock items. So here items in Y and Z category need attention, whereas X category items are very critical as they constitute a large value. See, here X items account for 70% of the value, so it is a block of capital. Very necessary or insurance items, that excess items should be used or disposed quickly. So this is one way of controlling the obsolescence. So there may be a buyback loss. In that case, you can give back the product to the customer and take some other product for the value paid up for the material which has been set up. Control of scraps. Even the scraps what all you are going to generate, that has to be minimized. So you mustn't give too much tolerance for the production of scrap. There must be efficient use, can control the use of cloth. Scrap should be segregated and sold as this fetches better value. Reclamation should be used wherever possible by seeing the economics. So like this, you'll be able to do control of obsolescence, control of scrap. So further we'll be discussing about responsibility of disposal. So here, how to dispose. Disposal method must be by auction is one of the methods. So like this, paper must be there, or you must tell dispose the product as on where it is and how it is, they must be able to pay. So one of the method is inviting offers from time to time by auction and annual contract. Like this, you'll be able to dispose the waste. So how this waste must be segregated? So based on the different type of material like plastic, MS, aluminium, which is made up of different materials, we have to separately keep it and dispose as and when. Some of the products it may be dangerous also, so that must be collected and covered so that it doesn't do any harm to the environment. So scrap collection also at cost. Rate contracts or annual contract can be included, even the collection of scraps from the sites. So like this, disposal is the responsibility of the organization, so that they are going to maintain clean environment. So disposal of the scrap also must be recorded on the company, that will be monitored by the pollution control board. So after that, we'll come to the next part of the same module, that is distribution network design. How this distribution network design works. So role of distribution in supply chain, how the distribution happens. Distribution refers to the step taken to move and store a product from the supplier stage to the consumer stage in the supply chain. So here the distribution occurs every pair of stages in the supply chain. Raw materials and components are moved from the suppliers to manufacturer, whereas finished products are moved from the manufacturer to the end consumer. Distribution is the key driver of overall profitability of a firm because it affects both supply chain cost and the customer value directly. The process of designing a distribution network has two broad phases. In the first phase, broad structure of the supply chain network is visualized. This phase decides the number of stages in the supply chain and the role of each stage. In the second phase, broad structures and convert it into specific location and their capability, capacity and demand location. So figure it shows how the distribution happens in the distribution network in the supply chain. So from the plant or warehouse where manufacturing happens, it will be transported to the different warehouse, that is warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3. From there it will be sent to the customer cluster, where there will be many people will be eagerly waiting to collect the product and use the product. So like this, distribution network happens in the supply chain. What are the factors influencing distribution network design? One is value provided to the customer, another one is cost of meeting customer needs. So here, this is what it happens. Customer value is affected by many factors. We focus on the measure that is influenced by the structure of the distribution network. Based on the value provided to the customers, the following factors influence the distribution network design. One is the response time, second is the product variety, third is the product availability, next is the customer experience, next is time to market, next is order visibility and returnability. So here he has explained with respect to each point what they expect. So response time is amount of time taken for the customer to receive an order. So here, whenever the order is taken from the customer, how well you reach back to the customer within the minimum possible time it costs. Product variety, it is number of different products or configurations that are offered by the distribution network. Product availability means it is the probability of having a product in stock when a customer orders or arise. Customer experience is how the customer feels about the product, how he receives the order, and how purely experiential aspects are there, such as possibility of getting a cup of coffee, the value that the sales staff provide, time to market, it is the time it takes to bring a new product to the market. Order visibility, it is ability of the customer to track their orders from placement to delivery. Returnability is ease with which customer can return unsatisfactorily merchandise and ability of the network to handle such situations. So based on the cost of customer meeting needs, the following factors affects the distribution network design. One is the inventories, second is the transportation, fourth is the facility and handling, and fifth is the information. So relationship with respect to the number of facilities and inventory, as the number of facilities increases, the inventory cost also it will be more. To decrease inventory cost, number of facilities in the supply chain has to be limited. So this graph indicates the facilities are less, the inventory costs are less. After some time, if the number of facilities are more, also inventory costs also it will be having a constant value. So further discussing about the transportation cost, inbound transportation cost and outbound transportation costs are the two costs which has to be borne. It has to be borne by the company. So outbound transportation cost per unit tends to higher than inbound cost because inbound lot sizes are typically larger. Best example is Amazon warehouse, which receives full truckload shipment of books on the inbound side, but ships out small packages with only a few books per customer on the outbound side. Increasing the number of warehouse locations decreases the average outbound distance to the customer and makes outbound transportation distance for a smaller fraction of the total distance traveled by the product. Thus, as long as inbound transportation economics of scales are maintained, increasing the number of facilities decreases total transportation cost. So like this, the number of facilities are increased, it can be up to the point. After that, it will be a constant. So that it is explained in the figure. So here it shows the relationship number of facilities and the transportation cost. So transportation cost, if it is high, number of facility initially it is less. If the number of facilities are more, it keeps on reducing the transportation cost. Afterwards, it will be almost constant. Much fluctuation in the transport costs are not seen.